I'm Jennifer Vatsa from Belladonna's Botanicals, and today I want to talk about an important subject matter that means a lot to me, and that is looking at ableism within the broader sense of occult practices and communities. And this goes across, the board, whether you're doing energy work, whether you're doing black magic, whether you're, whatever your path is. This is more practice-based. And I started thinking about this off and on for a while, because one of the subjects I've talked to multiple colleagues and friends about this recently is about doing pacts for yourself versus having someone do pacts for you with different spirits, demons, or whatever. And I feel like doing pacts for yourself makes more sense. So there are some benefits to having a pact done for you. Because my caveat around that would be if you have any types of disabilities or are neurodivergent. I speak from experience on this, being someone with chronic pain and chronic joint issues, someone who is on the spectrum and has ADHD as well as other mental health issues, that sometimes some of these things don't always come natural to me. Like, what I would love to see people offer for those that need help and assistance writing their own pacts is a program to help someone do that, to do how to write the pact themselves, not doing it for them necessarily. Because I will admit, yes, I can write my own pacts. How many of them I have fucked up and burnt because I'm this is just absolute shit. After a while, it's whether you have something like dysgraphia where you can't visually, parse, linear sentence and word and symbolic structure in reading and writing. A pact writing service could be very beneficial for you in that sense. Like, I have under, sort of the ADHD autism thing, one of the things I have is dyscalculia. And I didn't know this, and this explains why I've always been bad at math, because I can't visually parse a mathematical equation. I can barely do math in my head of the most basic variety. So that's an area where I can see having someone write a pact for you that it would be very beneficial. Or if someone's offering a service to help you, really walk through that. Now, I know several colleagues who do offer pact writing services, and, that's fine. I don't know what their processes are for it, but I would have to trust someone and know that they really, really, really are connected to the entities that they are writing the pact for or with. And some don't necessarily need or traditionally write pacts for. I'm trying to remember which one. I had a client be like, well, what kind of pact should I do with this particular entity? And I had to look around them. It may have been the Morrigan. And traditionally, people, she's just not someone you write a pact with, And I talked around, I've worked with the Morrigan a little bit, but, to people who are really devoted and do a lot of work, and I went around and talked to different people about that. I was like, they're like, yeah, you really don't do a pact with Morrigan. You kind of dedicate yourself to her, but that's kind of about it, So not every entity needs a pact. I think there are benefits to having other ritualists do work for you. And I see sometimes people, kind of like, oh, well, shouldn't you be doing all your rituals and stuff yourself? Or, that sort of thing. I'm like, well, yeah. But speaking as someone who has chronic pain and joint, issues, in addition to the other things I mentioned, sometimes I just can't. I just... it's being able to do some of those things, especially when I have my seasonal depression, I have to have a lot of energy work done on me and things like that by other people. I'm like, yes, I can self-heal with Reiki and crystal healing and all those stuff, but sometimes it's just the flow isn't right. So again, when you're looking at, I'm talking purely about magical practices and things of that nature. Like, I admitting here, I cannot, for the life of me, unless I write it on a candle or whatever, or like a piece of paper, in rituals, I never call in the quarters because I can never tell the direction, what element is associated with it and what spirit is associated with it. I cannot retain that information in my brain for some reason. I can retain all sorts of other random shit and whatnot. But for some reason, that is just one thing I can't put into my brain space. So, or when it comes to casting circles, like, because, I have mobility issues, I do a lot of my rituals when I do seated on, well, at least I did seated on the floor. So I have these sort of round floor pillows that I got from Killstar, which sort of served as my circle for it. But even now, with the issues I have in my lower back and my hips, like sometimes even sitting on the floor pillow, I'm like, I gotta get up, I'm like, and like everything is just stuck and like I'm in excruciating pain. So that's one of the reasons and I mentioned in previous videos that I'm not offering my ritual services to people because I just really can't do them right now. I can do energy work from anywhere. It's easy for me. I could do that on my couch, or I could do that in my bedroom because I have a full altar set up in my bedroom. I'll have to do a new tour of that at some point because I just redecorated. But so it's easier for me to do some of that stuff where I can be comfortable in doing it, because trying to do a ritual for someone when you're in excruciating pain, or even for yourself, is not great. I mean, so that's why some people who do have, disabilities, well, I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, are you, do the spirits, or, because of the practice, are you expected to be like wielding a sword around and casting a full circle and outside and all that? Like, a lot of these are bells and whistles that we just imply upon our practices and stuff. Like, sure, I can, I have a broadsword, which I can barely lift, but sure, I can wield my sword around, do the, lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and call in the quarters and do all this stuff and whatnot. But I've developed my practice in a way that works for me. And that's what I'm saying is, because there's a lot of people out there who teach different methods, and what I've done in learning all these different methods, and behind me I have tons of occult books, I've taken tons of courses and things of that nature, excuse me, so I've taken the things that work for me. Like sometimes, like if I'm having a lot of physical pain, I'll do a lot of my work in the astral realm, or I do my communication, channeling, things like that, instead of doing, say, a pure, elaborate ritual. I do what works for me. So I mean, I think that's what the main focus here is when I'm looking at things in terms of ableism, is what are you able to do with, your resources? Because not everyone can afford to buy a $40 candle. You might, I mean, you can do a ritual with a birthday candle if you need to. You can go to the dollar store and, get the little things you need and do a ritual with that. It doesn't have to be, I just like fancy shit and I make stuff, so hey, it all works out. But your practice is tailored to you. If you don't have the money to invest in, building elaborate altars and getting statues and crystals and all these things, then do what works for you within your financial ability. If you have physical disabilities that prevent you from doing a lot of movement-based work or for extended periods of time, do what works for you. That might be doing very simple rituals. I mean, I have a little, one of those little like breakfast in bed kind of, or laptop table things. Like sometimes I literally will sit in bed with that, and I'll do my little ritual on that. It's next to my altar. Just because I can't functionally be like right in front of my altar doesn't mean that it doesn't still have it's magical energy or space. So that's something that works for me when I'm in pain. Again, back to the pact writing thing and having rituals done for you by other people or energy work. I mean, there's when I can't do things for myself, sometimes I rely on other practitioners who offer those services to help because I can't always do things myself. And I also like to support other people's work. You know, I mean, plenty of people buy my products. I mean, it would be kind of, you know, I mean, like, I love to support other people, whether it's, you know, buying their products, whether it's by, you know, supporting their services and things like that. And, you know, I find what works for me in that sense. So, and sometimes, you know, especially if you're looking at doing things on yourself as far as energy work goes, like sometimes it's easier to see someone else's astral body to work on it than it is to see your own. So like I might know that I'm feeling something icky in my, you know, in the astral body or something like that, or there's blockages and connections. I can't always figure out what they are, but other people can. So that's just the benefit. And also one of the things that's kind of cool is when you have multiple people do work on you, you can see, sometimes they'll see the other stuff that the other person has done, which kind of, you know, gives you a sense of validation that, you know, okay, I'm not, I have this too when I'm doing energy work. I'm like, am I doing anything really? Or even rituals. Sometimes I'm like, is this working? Like, I just have that moment of doubt in what I'm doing. And then, you know, you talk to the other person, they're like, oh, that was fucking amazing. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. Awesome. So you felt something cool. But anyways, so that's just what I wanted to talk about a little bit on within the topic of what you're able to do and what works for you in your magical practice. And don't feel that because you read it in a book or you read it in a course or someone told you this, that you have to do it exactly this way. Because, you know, if you're not able to do it, don't doubt your abilities because of that. You know, it's you, whatever works for you works. You know, I can do an elaborate invocation and whatnot, or I can just be like, hey guys, hey Lucifer, you know. When you have developed these relationships with different entities, you know, yes, you can do the formal things, and some of them might require it more than others, but I even think that sometimes is just the human perception of things. And you're going to get a little bit into verified personal gnosis versus unverified personal gnosis, and even then there's a lot of variation, like, oh, this spirit doesn't like to work with this spirit, or, you know, this one has to have an altar set up in a particular way, and this one, you know, doesn't. I'm like, a lot of that I feel like is just people's perception of things. And what their experiences are. Mine might be very different. Like, I think in another video I was talking about how I make my products for different spirits. Like, and sometimes people have questions like, well, why did you put this in here instead of that? And it's just like, that's what I was guided to do. That may not be something that's traditionally associated with that entity, but that's what they wanted. So I went with it because that was my experience. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll just wrap this up and keep it brief, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.